Hi everyone, my name is Kevin. Today we are going to talk about Microsoft Teams, and we're going to cover four different things. The first one is, what is Microsoft Teams? Then I'm going to show you how you can get Microsoft Teams. Then we're going to look at how do you use Microsoft Teams. And lastly, I'm going to show some advanced tips and tricks in Microsoft Teams. Whether you're a brand new user or if you're a veteran user, you'll learn some new things that'll make your usage of Teams even more efficient. And as full disclosure, before we jump into this, I work at Microsoft as a full-time employee. My HR department requires me to say that anytime I talk about Microsoft products. Okay, well, let's get started. So first off, what is Microsoft Teams? Well, Teams is a collaboration app, and it has all your chats and conversations, it has all your meetings, and it has all your files in one location. And rather than me trying to explain what Teams is, why don't we jump on the PC and I'll show you what you can do with Teams and how it could allow you to collaborate more effectively. All right. So here I am, and the first thing that I want to show you what you can do is how you get Microsoft Teams. To be able to use Microsoft Teams, you either need to work for an organization that has Office 365 or you need to go to a school that has Office 365. Unfortunately, if you just have a consumer account, let's say at live.com or maybe at gmail.com, you won't be able to just sign up for a Teams account. So I already have my account here. If you go to the URL, what you're going to do is simply navigate to teams.microsoft.com, and what that'll do is that'll drop you on the login page for Teams. And here I already have my account entered in, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and then I just need to type in my password, and this will log me into Microsoft Teams. It asks me if I want to stay signed in. Sure, let's stay signed in. So what it's doing now is this will bring me to the main interface for Microsoft Teams, but before it drops me there, I'm going to get prompted whether I want to use the desktop app. So here it says download the Teams desktop app and stay better connected. The desktop app is where all the functionality lands first. That's where you're going to find all the rich functionality. However, if you're on a machine that doesn't say have the desktop app and you just want to get some quick work done, you could also use the web app. I'm going to jump into the web app real quick and show this. What you could do is, let's say you're in the web app and you want to get the desktop app. Down here in the bottom left hand corner, you could download the desktop app. I would recommend going ahead and doing that. You'll see that the web experience is very similar to the desktop experience. So what I'm going to do next is let's pull up the desktop experience. I already have the desktop experience installed on my computer. And so here it is. This is the main interface of Microsoft Teams. You see lots of different options here, and I'm going to walk through step by step what you can do in Microsoft Teams. And where we're going to start is, this is really the heart and soul of Microsoft Teams, but on the left-hand side, you see these different pivots or these different options. The heart and soul is the Teams pivot right here. And when I click on that, what you'll see is I have all these different teams. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to collapse some of these. So these top level things here, customer service, Contoso Procurement UK, consumer retail, and so on, these are all called teams. And so you could be part of a number of different teams. In this case, this is an organization called Contoso, and we have a number of teams set up. Now, let's say you're a teacher. You could also have teams set up for each one of your classes. So maybe you have Biology 101 as one of your teams. And maybe it's, class 1, and then you have Biology 101 class 2. And so you can have different teams set up for each class. Now within a team, so here I have this Mark 8 project team. The Mark 8 is a new drone that our Contoso organization is working on. Within this team, we have a number of what's called channels. So you have a general channel, and maybe we have a channel set up for different marketing campaigns we're discussing. Maybe for the designs that we're looking at, and our research and development team has a channel. So the way to think of it is, you have a high-level team, and then you break it up into channels based on different topics that you're talking about. Let's say you're a teacher, and maybe you have a big end-of-semester project, and so you want a channel focused on that. Maybe you have an assignment, and you have another channel focused just on that assignment. So all conversations that happen within that channel are focused on that topic. So with a team, what you can do is, I'm going to show a few of the different management capabilities. So here in the Mark 8 project team, if I click on this ... this gives me a whole bunch of different options of how I can manage that team. And a team isn't very fun if it's just you in it. You might want to go ahead and add members. So I'm going to go ahead, let's click on add member, and then I could pull other people in. So, another person I work with, Deborah. Deborah Berger's our administrative assistant, and maybe I want her part of the general channel. So I'll go ahead and click on her, and then I could add her her to the channel, and it looks like she's actually on the team already, but I could go ahead and add many different people to the team. So I'm going to go ahead, let's close that now. What I can also do, let's say that I want to bring someone into the team. What I can do here is I could get a link to the team. So I'll go ahead and click on that. And then it gives me this URL that I could copy, and I could email that, or I could use Instant Messenger to send that to someone. And that way they could click on that link and then they could join the team here. Some of the other things I want to talk about, so this is kind of the general layout of how you have teams, you have channels. What do you also have? So if I click into, let's say, the general, I'm going to click into the general channel. What you'll see in here is you have a few different pivots across the top. Here you have posts. This is the core view of every single channel. Here you see a whole bunch of conversations that are happening within this tab, posts. What you could also do is if I click into files, I could see all the files associated with this channel. So once again, let's say you're a teacher and maybe you have a project, any files related to that product, or maybe any files related to that assignment, you could place within this view. And then here we've created a few others where we have a bunch of videos, we have a home screen, we have a list of our European accounts, and I can click on this plus button to add more tabs. So what I could do is I could add, let's say, a OneNote sheet I want everyone to access, or maybe a PowerPoint presentation. I could add a Power BI dashboard, and you get the idea. You could add lots of different items to a channel within Teams. The primary view within a channel is posts, and this is where we have conversations. And so you see all these conversations going on. Megan added a few new tabs to the top of the channel, and here she added another tab to the top of the channel. So what I could do is I could reply to Megan, and what's really neat is you could do an @mention where you could call out a specific individual. So here I see a bunch of people in my organization, but I want to reply to Megan. So I could go ahead, click on Megan, and let's say, maybe I'll say, thanks for adding this tab. And then I'll say, looks great. And what I'll do now is I'll send it, and Megan will now be notified that I've added this comment within this channel. What I can also do is not only can I call out an individual, I could also mention everyone who's part of this channel. So what I could do is I'll just type in general, and then this will just call out everyone who's part of this channel. And I'll go ahead and send that to the group. And now every single person who's part of this channel will be notified. Let's say you're a teacher and maybe you posted a new assignment. You might want to call out the whole class or everyone who's part of that channel just to let people know. Maybe you're working on a project team and you want to call out all the members that you've made some updates that you want people to look at. What I can do within here as well is as I type a conversation, you have all these controls under the conversation. So I'll go ahead and click on this one. This is the formatting pivot. But here you could add a subject to your conversation. You could type your conversation in here, and then you have all the typical controls where you could bold, italicize, or change colors, add quotes. So you could do lots of different things to make the conversation richer and look better. What you can also do is, as you kick off a conversation, maybe you want to include a file. So I could pick recent files, I could upload a file, find something from OneDrive. Let's say I want to throw in a smiley face because here Megan added this new tab. What I could click there is I'll click on this smiley face and I'll go ahead and maybe give a thumbs up for this, and let's go ahead and send that there. So there's a thumbs up. What I can also do is you can also insert Giphies. So here, depending on whether you want to celebrate something or congratulate someone for finishing something, you could search for all different types of Giphies. And this is one of my favorites. Here I'm going to click into this little icon, the stickers, and you have all these different stickers you could do. And you could even create memes right here. So here I could click on this, and then I could add a top caption and a bottom caption. So kind of nice functionality of things I could do. And then I could also meet now with everyone who's part of this channel by clicking on this button. Okay, so shifting gears, this is the core functionality of the Teams view. What I want to show now is some of these other views that are available within Teams. So we're going to go back to the left-hand side, and here I have this activity pivot. If I click on this, this will show me all activity going on related to me in Teams. And here I have one piece of activity that says Megan added me to a new team. This is the Contoso Procurement UK. But what I can also do is, let's say I have a lot of activity, especially once you're part of, let's say, a few different classes or a few different project groups, you might have a full list of activity here. What I can do is I could click on this filter, And if I click on this dot, 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 what it'll allow me to do is I could see all of my unread activity. I could see all the activity where someone has mentioned me, or maybe I posted a comment within a channel and someone replied to it. I could filter just based on those. So lots of different ways to stay up on top of the activity that matters to me. Here I could also filter for specific activity. So let's say I want to see all the activity for Megan. I simply type in her name and it'll filter it down just to her name. The next pivot that we're going to look at is the chat pivot. I'm going to go ahead, let's click on chat, and here you can see all the chats that I have with individuals. So here I had a conversation with Megan, and for each individual chat, what you'll see is you also have these similar tabs across the top like we saw in the channel view. So here I could see all the files that I've shared with Megan. I could even see where she sits within the organizational structure, and here I could see all of Megan's recent activity within Teams, so I could see what she's been up to. What I can do here too is chat's not just limited to one person. What I could do is I click this plus button over here, and maybe I want to bring Irvin into this conversation as well. He's one of our project managers, and then I could add him to this conversation between Irvin and Megan. And so now the two of us are in a conversation. So your conversations can be however big or however small you want them to be, depending on what your needs are. What you also have on here, going back to the left-hand side, you have a pivot for your calendar. So I'm going to click on calendar, and here you see I have a pretty busy week with lots of different meetings come up. And what this does is this is synced with Exchange. So if you also use Outlook, your calendar and Outlook will match your calendar within Teams. And I want to show some of the meeting functionality now. So what I'm going to do is, let's say on Friday, April 3rd, I want to set up a meeting. So I'll go ahead and let's say what our meeting is going to be about. Let's say how to use Microsoft Teams. With remote learning, I want to make sure people on the team learn how to use some of the more advanced functionality. What I can do is let's add some attendees. I'm going to add Alex Wilbur. We're going to throw Patty in here because she's the president, so we have some higher level attendance. And maybe I'll throw Pradeep in as well. He's our accountant. He told me he needed some help with Teams. And within here, what I could do is I could even add a whole channel. Let me throw in our consumer retail and maybe the general group. They indicated an interest in learning more about Teams. You can add a location. You can type in some details, in-depth tutorial of Microsoft Teams. So you could add all sorts of information in here, similar to what you could do in Outlook. And here I could even go to the scheduling assistant, and it'll tell me what time works the best for all my different attendees. And it looks like everyone's free at 10 a.m. on Friday. So that looks great. Now I'm going to go ahead and send this meeting invitation. So here we have a new invitation on the calendar now called How to Use Microsoft Teams. What I want to do is I'm going to jump into this other meeting that I created, and I'm going to show you how you could join a Teams meeting. So here's my meeting here, and I could go ahead and click on join. Similar to within Teams channels, you have access to chat specific to that meeting, files specific to that meeting. I could even write meeting notes, and I have a whiteboard. But let's go ahead and let's join this meeting now. Hey, there I am on my webcam, and I got my exercise bike in the background. So what I could do is I could turn video off if I join the meeting, or I could turn it on. Let's say that I'm sitting at home and I have my exercise bike back there, but maybe I don't want people to see that. I could go ahead and blur that out so you can't really see that, and I could turn my microphone on or off. So let's go ahead and let's jump in this Teams meeting. Now, this is really neat. Let's say if you work in a work environment, or if you're, let's say, in an educational situation, this is where you could do remote learning. This is where you can meet with your coworkers. And some of the things that you could do within here, as my camera goes in and out of focus, I could turn the video on and off by clicking this button. I could toggle between that. I could also mute my microphone. If I'm in a big group, I might want to mute it so people don't hear background noise. I could share my screen with others. So if you're, say, a teacher or running a project, what you could do is you could click on share, and here I could share my entire desktop, or I could share just a specific window on my desktop. So maybe I have some things on my desktop that I don't want people to see. And it also is integrated with PowerPoint, so I could share a specific PowerPoint presentation. Here, this European expansion presentation, maybe I want to share that. And on the far right-hand side, I could also bring up a whiteboard. So let's say I want to take notes, or maybe we want to brainstorm together. I could bring up the whiteboard, and then we could write on that, and that'll be associated with the meeting. So I'm going to go ahead. Let's minimize the sharing option here. I'll show a few of the other things that you could do with a meeting. So I clicked on this little ellipses, or the dot, dot, dot. And within here, what you could do is you could show and hide the meeting notes. Let's say you're being diligent and you're taking some meeting notes on the side. You could do that. I'm going to hide the meeting notes now. You could even switch into full screen. And one of the things that I like here is you could start or stop your recording. So let's say that maybe you have a member of your project team who's not able to make it. You could go ahead and record the session for them, or maybe a student was unable to make it. You could go ahead and record that using this button right here. And then there's another option for turn off incoming video. The benefit of that is, let's say you're on a slow connection and all that video is slowing things down. You could just turn off incoming video. When you're in a meeting, what you can do is here I could open up chat, and here I could talk to everyone within the meeting. Hi, everyone. So here I could type to everyone on the whoever's in the meeting. And lastly, I also have this participant view. Here I could see everyone who's in the meeting, and I could also see everyone else who's been invited to the meeting within this view. And here I can also invite someone else. I could also dial a phone number in here, and it'll add them to the meeting. And lastly, let's say that someone wants to join the meeting. I could go ahead and click on copy join information, and then I could email that to someone, or I can message it to someone, and that'll allow them to join this meeting that we're having. So this is the meeting capability of Teams. Pretty rich, nice functionality when you're meeting with a lot of people and you want to see each other face to face, especially when you have other people within the chat. Whoever's speaking will be in focus, and you'll also see everyone's image at the bottom. So it's a very nice way to work remotely. Once again, whether you're an office worker, whether you're a student, a nice way for remote learning or project work. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. Let's hang up the call. So I'm leaving the meeting right now. Some of the other things that I want to show that you can do in Teams, aside from just meeting, what I can do as well is jump into the calls pivot. So here I could call people, so I could either do just an audio call, I could do a video call with an individual. You could even call phone numbers depending on your organization and whether they have that set up. If I click into files, I can see all my different files. These are all the recent files that I've interacted with, regardless of what team or what channel it happens to be in. Here's just a list of all my recent files. I could also get to my downloads and also my OneDrive files as well. The next thing that I want to show now is after files, you have this apps view. You have lots of different apps that you could run within Teams, whether you want to set up a Yammer, a Trello, project management board, whether you want to do Zoom from within Teams. You can do all of this from within Teams. So it has some really rich functionality. The next thing that I want to show, we also have a search box on top of this interface here. And what I could do, let's say I type in a person, I could filter down to just their communications. So there I could type it in. If I hit a /, this will show me all the different quick commands that I could do. So whether I want to call someone, whether I want to do a chat with someone, you can use commands versus trying to navigate throughout the interface. So depending on your preferred way of interacting with Teams, you can do that pretty easily. And one more thing that I want to show, so within Teams, there's a lot of communication that goes back and forth, especially if you're working remotely. There'll be lots of chatter happening. What you can do within Teams, you could also get the mobile app down here in the bottom left-hand corner. That'll bring up a QR code where I can then download Teams either in the Apple Store or within the Google Play Store. So I could do either one of those places to get the mobile app. Now, at the very beginning, I mentioned that I would show some advanced functionality of Teams. Let's jump right into it. These are some nice things that you could do. What I've shown you so far, this is just the core functionality of Teams. With that, you'll be able to start using Teams, and I'm sure you'll discover things over time. But some of the advanced functionality that you can do, let's say I jump into, let's say, a Teams, and there's an interesting conversation that I want to get back to. If I hover over that conversation, I could click on the ... and then I could save this message. To get back to saved messages, I click up here on the what's called the Me control, and then I could click on saved, and this will show me all my different saved messages that I've marked. So it's a nice way to get back to content. What I could also do is if I click on the Me control and then go to settings, what I can do is on the general view, I could toggle into dark mode. Dark mode's a little easier on your eyes, especially if you've been working at home for a long time. It might be nice to switch it off and give your eyes a break. But that's dark mode. Some of the other things that you could do is if I go on to Teams, especially if you start ending up on lots of different channels, maybe one of them is not really that interesting to you and maybe you don't want to follow the campaigns channel, I could go ahead and hide that and it'll throw it under this hidden channel view. I could always bring it back if I want. However, just a nice way that you could hide some content. Some of the other things that you could do within a channel too, you could modify your notification settings. So do you want to be notified about every post, and do you want to get a banner and feed or only a feed? So there are different ways you'll get notified when different activity is happening. Some of the other things that I really like within the chat view, when you have lots of different conversations, it could be a little overwhelming. Let's say with Alex, I want to make sure I stay on top of this conversation. If I click on that ... I could pin the conversation to the top, and that way I stay on top of it. And now the last thing that I want to show, the last kind of neat tip and trick. So here I'm back in the general channel. I'm going to click on files, and within files, I'm going to click on this campaign sales data. So I could work on an Excel file within the context of Microsoft Teams. And what's nice about this is everyone within the channel has access to this Excel spreadsheet, and we could all collaborate on this at the same time. We could leave comments for one another. We can have a conversation within this sheet. But so this way we all can work together on an Excel spreadsheet. And this works with Word. This works with PowerPoint. Any of the main Office apps support this. All right, well, that was just a quick tutorial of first off how you could get Microsoft Teams, how you could use Microsoft Teams, and some of the advanced functionality. If you feel like you're more proficient now with Microsoft Teams, please give this video a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this in the future, hit that subscribe button. That way you'll get a notification anytime new content like this comes out. And lastly, if there are any other videos that you want to see me cover in the future, any other burning questions that you have, leave a comment down below. I read them all and I'll add it to my list of videos to create in the future. All right, well, that's all I had for you today. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye.